Again? This was allowed to happen again? Not only was it allowed to happen, but once again, what happened has completely flown under the mainstream radar because the mainstream media, they refuse to cover the story. I wonder why. I wonder why the mainstream media can't find the interest to cover Blaire Fleming. On the surface, it doesn't make any sense. If you're a journalist, if you're an aspiring doofus in cable news or a seasoned wanker spanker in the mainstream media, this story with Blaire Fleming, this is what you dreamed about while attending Woke U. Think about it. This story involves sports. It involves a potential scandal. This story involves a major university intentionally hiding the background of a star athlete. This story involves victims, and you guys know how much the wanker spankers in the media love a victim. This story has drama, it has outrage. There's a protagonist and there's an antagonist. And whichever side of the gender spectrum that you identify with determines which agonist that you're rooting for. This story with Blaire Fleming and San Jose State, it literally writes itself. We are talking about what should be a major scandal at a major university that is located in, I think, the most populated state in the country. Yet for some reason, the mainstream media just can't seem to find the interest. Now, they've got plenty of energy when it comes to demonizing Donald Trump, orange man bad. They have endless amounts of energy when it comes to polishing the turd known as the campaign of Cam Harris. But when it comes to Blaire Fleming and the dozens of young women being negatively impacted by Blaire's gigantic presence, the mainstream media is exercising their right to remain silent. Last night, the Fighting Flemings from San Jose State, they had a volleyball match against the New Mexico Hobos. Now, my inside sources tell me the Fighting Flemings, they were very excited about this game. They were motivated. Now, unlike my Saints last night, who came out on national television and unleashed the boodle breeze directly into the mouth of their fan base, unlike my Saints last night, who played 60 minutes of the most uninspired football I have ever seen, hell, that shit was so bad, I gotta call it pretend football. That's how bad things have gotten in New Orleans. I am stealing adjectives from the WNBA dump to describe the quality of play. But unlike my Saints, the Fighting Flemings were heavily motivated to play last night. For the first time in weeks, the Fighting Flemings, they had an opponent on their schedule that was actually willing to play them. Now, normally when a team is motivated, you would think it's a good thing. And in 99.9% of cases, it is. But when the young women on your volleyball team are competing against a biological male, when the young women on your volleyball team are competing against Mrs. Formerman, the last thing you want is an angry, motivated Blaire Fleming. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Let's go ahead and get to the sponsor for today's video, what I believe is the best beef jerky on the market, my friends at Fluffer Noggin. I am not a big snacker, but if there's one time of year where I snack more than usual, it's during football season. One of my favorite snacks to eat while I'm watching NFL Red Zone on Sunday afternoons, beef jerky. Problem is, a lot of beef jerky, it tastes like you're biting into a flat tire. Good news is, I no longer have that problem because I started buying gourmet craft beef jerky from Fluffer Noggin. Now you're probably thinking, what the hell is a Fluffer Noggin? Fluffer Noggin is gourmet beef jerky that is made with 100% organic brisket right here in America. You don't have to worry about consuming foreign cows. All these cows, they are homegrown. Each recipe from Fluffer Noggin is handcrafted with the perfect amount of seasoning. First beef jerky I have ever tasted that literally melts in your mouth. Fluffer Noggin comes in a variety of flavors. You have mango habanero, Korean barbecue. They even have a flavor called Carolina Reaper for those looking for serious heat. Or if you're like me, you'll go with my latest favorite flavor, sea salt and honey pepper. Fluffer Noggin's running a special right now where you can get 5 bags for $50 along with free shipping. So click the link in the description below. Use my promo code BTL at checkout and get your first 5 bags of Fluffer Noggin today. Last night, San Jose State was playing New Mexico. Now, during the third quarter or the third set, I don't, whatever the hell they call it in volleyball, during the third thing, the Fighting Flemings, they were up 13-11 on the young women from New Mexico. Now, I would say that score means that it was a close game, but I don't know shit about fuck when it comes to volleyball. However, it does not take a PhD in LGBT for me to know Blaire Fleming hits the ball harder than Mike Tyson. Blaire Fleming must eat a lot of spinach. Blaire must be a regular consumer of the vegetables. During the third set, Blaire Fleming is set up to spike the ball. Unfortunately, the face of one of the young women from New Mexico had the misfortune of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Blaire Fleming makes contact with the ball, and it is coming faster than a virgin on prom night. One of the young women from New Mexico couldn't react fast enough. She couldn't get her hands up quick enough to stop the ball from smashing her face. Watch it for yourself. Thankfully, the young woman is okay. Thankfully, she did not appear to suffer any serious injuries. But how many times can this happen without there being consequences? How many times can young women be hit in the face with a fastball from Blaire Fleming until someone gets seriously injured? Here's what I'm wondering. And I know there are a lot of lawyers in this audience, so maybe you guys could give us some insight on this in the comments below. If Blaire Fleming seriously injured an opposing player, would San Jose State be liable for that? Could San Jose State or even the NCAA, could they be opening themselves up to a potential lawsuit if that happened? Or since the young women are choosing to compete against Blaire Fleming, would that be considered implied consent or whatever the hell you would call it? And look, I don't think Blaire Fleming should be held responsible if something like that happened. Even though I disagree with it, Blaire Fleming is just following the rules. NCAA rules state that Blaire Fleming is allowed to compete against women, so I don't think Blaire Fleming should be responsible for following the rules. But San Jose State, the NCAA, the adults responsible for setting all this up, the adults responsible for allowing this to happen, could they be legally responsible? I know there is a Title IX lawsuit against the NCAA right now, but from my understanding, I think that just deals with lost opportunities for women. I'm talking about potential damages from serious injuries. If that were to happen, so if you're a lawyer, please let us know in the comments below or shoot me an email, btlkc84@gmail.com. You know what else I find odd about this Blaire Fleming story? Besides the fact that the mainstream media is outright refusing to cover it, what I find off about this is the complete lack of consequences. Normally, when a secret is revealed, the consequences are soon to follow. For example, let's say a husband cheats on his wife. Wife finds out about it. They go through a divorce. Most judges in America, they look down on cheating, especially when children are involved. So the husband is naturally going to be punished financially. Most of the time, when a secret is revealed, the consequences follow. But with San Jose State, there have been no consequences. Now, for those that don't know, San Jose State, they hid the biological identity of Blaire Fleming. The university didn't tell anyone that Blaire was born Braden. Now, this secret, it was exposed months ago. I mean, we've been talking about it here on the channel for almost 2 months now, and there is yet to be a single consequence for San Jose State. Well, Casey, that's not true. Opposing teams are refusing to play against them. That's a consequence. Is it really? Because every time an opposing team refuses to play, San Jose State is gifted a win. Years ago, I think the NCAA, I think they would have called this cheating. Throughout my lifetime, at least until NIL became a factor, the NCAA, they had a very strong emphasis on removing cheating. Hell, all sports are focused on removing cheating. There was the steroid scandal in Major League Baseball. How many NFL players have we seen suspended in the past for using PEDs? Back in the 1980s, the NCAA, they gave SMU the death penalty. At the time, SMU, that was one of the top programs in the country. The NCAA absolutely decimated that program. If I remember correctly, and this was before my time, I've only seen documentaries on it, but if I remember correctly, I don't think SMU was even allowed to play football for a couple of years. They shut it down completely. SMU went from being one of the most high-profile teams in college football to being a complete afterthought. Here we are, 40 years later, over 40 years later, and SMU is still irrelevant. How many times have you seen SMU on national television? Could you even tell me what conference they're in? In the early 2000s, Alabama, they were placed on probation for cheating. Pete Carroll, USC, I think they had national championships removed. I know Reggie Bush had his Heisman Trophy taken away because boosters allegedly set up his family in a nice apartment. Technically, all those are victimless crimes. Hell, they're not even crimes, but the point is, no one was hurt by it. Completely different situation with Blaire Fleming. Even though it's not intentional, even though it's part of the game, Blaire Fleming could potentially hurt someone. 10 years ago, probably even 5 years ago, the NCAA, they would have considered it cheating for a biological male to compete against women. If a coach put a biological male on the basketball court, that coach would have been immediately fired. Who knows, the program might be shut down. But today, they call it inclusion. Someone, please, make it make sense. Give me your thoughts on this. For the second week in a row, Blaire Fleming damn near injures an opposing player. Where is the outrage? Where is the media? Why aren't people talking about this? Shouldn't this be one of the leading stories right now in sports media? Nothing from ESPN, nothing from Stephen A. Smith, nothing from Fox Sports. Why? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. Appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com. See you guys tomorrow.